We'll go to turn 3. And we're going to get our leaders back. And American tank support is going to land. Works similar to the +1 artillery counter. It's just a bit better. We'll get some tanks coming in for some supporting our assaults. Works the same way. Roll a d6, 4, 5, or 6. You get that counter. So that is where we're at. That is not a lot. So we'll start with a Japanese impulse. Boy, it is really, really difficult for them to want to do anything, if I'm really honest. So they're going to bring out another special unit, so we'll get all their units on the board. And this one, 2 VPs. We're going to put it in this 3 VP area. This is worth a few more points here, I think. That's what they're going to do. Bring out that guy. Oh, they actually get... Sorry, we skipped the reinforcements phase. I apologize. So reinforcements, the Japanese get half of 2d6. That's how many guys go back in here. So that's nice. So actually, what we're going to do, instead of bringing out that dude, we're going to bring out a pillbox. And we're going to stick it down here. I don't know if there's a rule about 1 pillbox per area, but that's kind of what I'm going to go with, just to not break the game entirely. I feel like having 5 pillboxes would just be, I don't know, kind of silly at times. So that's their reinforcements, and the US, they would have reinforcements on the track, but they're kind of all gone there, so don't have to worry about that. So Japanese put their pillbox out. That's what they're doing on their impulse. The Americans are gonna have to start getting their hands dirty. So what they'll do is they will bring on these guys. We can activate this beach approach area, so we've got more dudes on the board, and we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to link up with 1st Battalion, and we're probably going to do a big assault coming on here soon, I think. Difficult to say. Okay. Alright, so that's theirs. Technically you do a sunset roll, can't roll a 1 on 2d6, so let's go with that. Now we're going to look at the Japanese impulse. They're going to launch their Kamikaze attack, because I forgot to do it last time, frankly. So they'll do that real quick. They're going to launch it once again on this naval bombardment, so it's a 4 and a 6. Oh, and finally they're successful. Oh, fantastic. So they have 14 altogether, and the Americans have a 10. So this just gets flipped to its used side, and they can't use it there. So the Kamikaze planes got through the picket line and destroyed, or at least diverted, the artillery support, the naval bombardment support there. So that's kind of what that represents. So that worked out well for the Japanese, because that 8 bombardment was going to start wreaking some havoc there. And then, so for their normal activation though, I think they're going to take a gamble. This is a +2. Everything's a +2 at this point. You know what I'm going to do? Risky as it is, I think I'm going to move this guy out here to flip control of that. Just to help, I'm going to force the Americans to kind of take this back. I don't know if that's sensible, but we're going to do it. Because so that way the Americans would have to take this out and divert some forces away, so they can, if they want to try and take automatic victory. So that's a gamble there. But if we can thin out forces by forcing them to move up, we can maybe do a counterattack and kill some guys. Who knows? So that's their impulse. American impulse. They are going to, see, and this is where that is an insane gamble, if that's even an intelligent thing to have done. So we're going to launch this assault here, from here to here. No, we're not. We're going to do some bombardments. That's what we're going to do. Soften them up first. So we've got a 7, and we're going to launch it in this area right here. And we're going to do that by attacking this MG nest first. Because in a bombardment, the attacker selects the lead defending unit. So we're going to select this 2, and this is a +2 urban area, is a 4. So they've got a 4, and I'm a 7. And that's what we're going to roll on. That's what we're going to do. Oh, wow. So it ended up being much closer than I would have liked anyway. So we ended up rolling a 16, and they ended up rolling a 12. So there's 4 points to be done away with. The first one has to go on the MG team. So this is a 1. And then we'll go 2. And then we'll reduce this guy 3. And then we'll... Jeez. We're going to retreat him out. Will we though? I'll just flip this guy 4. So that's it. So the bombardment softened him up. That's really all it did. But it did what it was supposed to do. So that's used up. We don't advance this. There's no die roll on a bombardment impulse for the Americans. So no sunset roll at least. So we'll kind of progress. The Japanese are going to do their own bombardment. We'll use that up here. So we've got a 4. Where are they going to attack? They're going to attack this area right here. Because there is the most guys there. So there are 4. Let's see, 4. They're going to designate the lead defending unit. It's all 4s, doesn't really matter. So that's that one. Huh, that's not a lot. Alright, so it is what it is. Japanese are +4. The Americans are 4. +2 is 6. And they rolled something. So the Americans have an 11, and the Japanese have an 11. And if it's equal, if the attack total is equal, alright, nothing happens on a stalemate like that. So just another waste of an artillery bombardment. How about that? So what we'll do now is we'll do Americans again, and I think it's time to take these guys out. We'll try and take this area. Risky business. So we're gonna... Oof. This is where things are gonna get kind of hairy, I think. We'll see how this goes. So these guys are all gonna move in here. Yeah, that's a terrible idea, isn't it? They're gonna hang on. Yeah, we're gonna hold off on this. We're gonna attack from the north, I think. So these guys are gonna move into area 11. We're gonna do a big attack here. So we've got a lead attacking unit. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for battalion, +1, 9 for being all the same. Yeah, 8 for being all the same battalion, 9 for air support. We're going to try and call in tank support, which we can do once per impulse. So tank support is, and we're attacking an urban area, so we need a 5 or a 6. 5 or a 6. So we don't get tank support. We'll try and call in some artillery support as well. 4, 5, or 6. Nope, don't get that either. Roll a 1. Fantastic. So we're just looking at a 9. So it's a 2d6 plus 9 for the Americans. And the Japanese have a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is a straight die roll. We're going to see what happens. And it's a tie. Fantastic. So in a stalemate, the lead attacking unit flips. And nothing else happens. The Americans, the defenders could retreat if they needed to, if they wanted to. But they're not going to. They're going to sit there. So this is a contested area that stays under Japanese control until they fully take it over. So, and they rolled a 7, so the impulse track's going to go up 1, because we didn't roll under that. And in a very cheeky fashion, I think for the Japanese impulse, these guys are actually going to hoppity skip over here. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to be a thorn in the side. They want, I guess that represents the Americans not being able to fully isolate. So I think this means the Americans won't be able to get an automatic victory unless they really divert some forces and the turn goes a bit longer. I don't think they'll be able to get the auto victory with that. So that is somewhat paid off for the Japanese. For the Americans, they are going to... what are they going to do? Well, they're going to press the attack, I feel. So we're going to do this attack again. Boy, that was very bad. Very bad indeed. No, that's a terrible idea. Yeah, we're not going to do that. We're going to flip these guys back over. That's a waste of resources. This is where we want to do a big counterattack. That's what we want to do. So we've got lead attack units at 2. I'm pretty sure the pillbox can't be chosen as a lead attack unit. How's the pillbox going to assault someone? So we've got a 2. We'll bring out our leader here for 3. And we're going to try and call in the satchel support. So 5 or a 6. We don't get it. Rats. Okay, so we've got a 3. And we're attacking a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's actually very bad in the end. Oh well. I tried. So we're looking at 3 on a 10. Great. Oh, 13 against an 18. So we fail. So all of the Japanese assaulting units is just going to flip. That's a shame. Oh well. It is what it is. We tried. Feel like I had to try doing something there. Because if you get the central support, that would have been a more successful attack. Oh well. So we'll go to an American impulse, and the Americans conversely are going to really lay down the hammer here, I think. So we've got a 4, 5, 6, 6.5, so we'll just say 6, 7 for air support, 8 for battalion cohesion. So we're an 8. That's not a lot, is it? 8. So let's try and call in some tank support, which they don't arrive, and let's call in some artillery support. They do arrive. So as far as getting that artillery support, that comes in, so we'll just kind of add this in here just to make it a little bit easier here. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a total of 9 for the Americans to attack with. And for the Japanese, they're looking at defending with a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 9 and 7. It's rough. So the Japanese have a 7 and a 7, so it's 14. They've got 9, 10, 15. So it's actually, the Japanese lose, but they've got to take only 1 attrition point. And so to do that, I think quite simply, they're just going to retreat their MG nest. So that pillbox is actually doing its job fairly nicely, just hanging in there. Even though it was a successful attack, the lead attack unit does get flipped. So you got some weakening strength coming on there. Put the support unit back here. I'm ready for the next impulse. This two victory points is hanging on for dear life. The Americans rolled a 6, so the impulse just moves on to the next one. The Japanese player, what are they gonna do? Honestly, they're doing a pretty decent job of just sitting here. And that's part of the reason why this is, effectively a solo game. So we'll bring out another MG nest. We'll stick them during daylight. We'll slide them into down here, I think. Just gum up these areas. Force the Americans to do some pretty wild things. So, what are they going to do? So we've got to be sensible about this. It says no, these units can't move, so I think we're in a good spot there. I can kind of hold off for a second. I think we're actually going to move in with these units and try and take this space. And I say that because I don't want to attack either of these areas and have these troops kind of just fill back in. I think that would be very bad for the US. So we're going to make this kind of frontal assault, and then we'll be able to push down and then close the trap on the mountaintop. I think that's what we're going to try and do. So to do that, we'll launch a full-fledged assault. We're going to bring everything in here. So that's the idea, at least. So before we do that, we're going to try and soften them up with a bombardment. We're going to bring in the Navy bombardment here from the planes. They are going to bombard the MG nest that was just put out. So we'll start here. So it's a 2 plus the defensive value of 3. So the Japanese have a 5 and the Americans have a 5. So it's a straight roll off. Oh, and it's a disaster for the Japanese. So there's 15 points for the Americans and there's 8 points for the Japanese. So the difference between the two is 7. So the Japanese have to take 7 attrition points. And it has to start with the lead defending unit. So they're going to go 1, 2, 3 and just remove those. 4, 5. And they're going to take 2 more. They're going to flip this MG nest and they're going to retreat it. So that's the reduction is 1 and this is a 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7. That's it. So that's what we're going with. So the bombardment, that was one of the few hugely successful bombardments there. Now, I believe, let's see, I think we put out rubble because it was an urban area. Yes, so because the attacker, which is a 10, plus the terrain effects modifier is the 3 is a 13, because of that total, the Japanese player has the option to place rubble, and that's what they're going to do. They're going to place some rubble here, and the rubble adds +1 terrain effects modifier. So that was, whilst they got blown to high hell, you know, you get some rubble, helps defend in the long term there as well. You only have 1 rubble per space, and only because this is an urban area. You can't have rubble out in the fields, right? So that's kind of what's going to happen as a result of that. So that was the American bombardment impulse. Again, we don't move this up. There's no sunset roll in this particular instance because it's a bombardment impulse. So now we go for a Japanese impulse, and I was considering doing a counterattack with a lot of those units, but now I'm definitely not going to do that. I think this is the bit where I'm just going to be a little weakling, and I'm going to move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to take these areas because I don't want. I think that that seems quite gamey, sneaking around, taking those areas back. But that's the Americans' fault for not closing that trap earlier. I feel like maybe I should have done that. But that means that the Americans are going to have a much harder time getting an automatic victory, like we kind of discussed earlier. And now we'll do this assault, which swings and roundabouts is basically what's happened here. So we're going to move in both of these battalions. And we'll use, let's see, we'll use B Company from 1st Battalion as the lead attacking unit here. So, we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we've got a total of 11 attack strength, plus 1 for having the full battalion there. It's 12. Plus 1 for attacking in clear weather, so we have air support. Is 13. And then we're going to try and call in some artillery support, which we need a 4, 5, or 6. So we get that. And then we're going to try and call in the tanks as well, which we need a 5 or a 6. So we don't get the tanks. So again, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 attack altogether. So we're going to roll 2d6 plus 14 for the Americans. And for the Japanese, we've got a 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, you know, pretty good for the Japanese as well. 14 and 10. Oh my gosh. You can't... Boxcars, it's crazy. So the Japanese have a total of 10 plus 8 is 18. And we've got a 14 plus 12 is 26. So there's still a difference of 8. I think... So we'll go 1, 2, 3 to remove the pillbox. And we're going to have to do 1, 2, 3. We're going to kill this unit as well. That's all we can do there. So the rubble did not help the Japanese. It was close, but it did not do them any good there in the end. And the lead attack unit's always going to flip. Put the artillery support back. The Bloody Ridge is worth 3 victory points. So the Americans are going to get 3 victory points. 1, 2, 3. I'm just going to do a check here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They should be at 7. Okay, good. And they need a total of 10 to win. So they really, if they could take this area and this area, get another 4, and then heal their units, they might be able to claim a victory. It's not an automatic one because these guys. And for automatic victory, you have to control every area, and I just don't see that happening. We roll boxcars, so the impulse is going to go up. Now we will continue the game. We'll have a Japanese impulse. Oh, gosh. Yeah, this is going to go poorly, I think. We'll try our best. We'll launch a very small counterattack, I think. This probably isn't insanely stupid, but we can do it anyway. These guys are going to attack. It's crazy. It'll be crazy to counterattack, honestly. But we'll do it anyway. I just feel like that's what would happen. Banzai charge. So we've got this guy, he's a whopping 1. And he's going to attack 4. Lead defend unit 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 for 12 for defensive air support. So 12. Why would you do that? There's no reason to do that. That is mindless. And I think it's at this point, it's almost just become a series of die rolls. Really. Yeah, that would be foolish to counterattack with that guy. Maybe if I brought out some bigger guns. Maybe not that way. Gosh, maybe we can go with these guys. So if we bring up... He's 4. Let's roll for the satchels. 5 or 6. Oh, we rolled a 2, so that was a disaster. So he's a 4. Gosh, that's very bad. 4. 4 and 4. 4, 5, 6... 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4 and 11. This is just a disaster waiting to happen. It's not bad. 4 and 11. 4 and 11. Okay. 13. 13 against 15, so we have to flip and retreat back, but that's all that happens. It could have been a lot worse, but was really hoping to get that satchel support, which hasn't worked out for me. It's a difficult roll to make, but anytime the Japanese attack, you would always try and get that. There's no reason not to. It never gets used up, so do it every single time. Unfortunately, that didn't work out there, but it is what it is. So, US Impulse number 6. We gotta lay down. We gotta turn the screws here, I think. So these guys are gonna... Oof. Yeah. So these dudes are gonna move in here. So we've got a lead defend unit as 5, 6, 7 for the terrain, 8, 9. So it's a 9 Japanese defense. That's pretty good. Okay, so had a couple of recording issues there. Basically, the Americans were able to bring in some tank support, but they rolled just okay. And the Japanese had a good defensive value. They still took some losses. They kind of lost a full unit and had to reduce the other one. And a pillbox got reduced as well. The lead attacking unit for the Americans got reduced. But they weren't able to get everyone out of this area, so they kind of just hung up in a contested area there. So that's a lot of that kind of happened off camera. We've got the die rolls here for you, but that happened there. And the Americans had a 5, 6, 7 on their die roll, plus 2 is a 9, which is not 11 or more, so they can't, the Japanese can't put down a rubble counter, which they maybe would have liked to there. The sunset roll was a 7, so we moved up to 7, because we were currently on a 6 at the time, so no change there. As far as everything else, we're just ready to go to the next Japanese impulse, so let us proceed. So what we're looking at from a Japanese standpoint is the options are very slim. I felt like doing this counterattack that I did up here was not good. But that being said, I'm gonna do it. We're gonna do a counterattack down here just to try and put some more losses on the Americans, especially if we can get a satchel charge in there. We might be in for some luck. So we'll start with the lead attack unit of 2 plus half, so just a 2 and a 4. We could get to 8 if we roll well, and the Americans would have a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, they'd have a 9. And we have to, whatever. We'll do it just for fun. They're cut off anyway. There's nowhere for them to retreat, so they'd be eliminated anyway. They could retreat here if they nail. Maybe that's... I don't think they can do that. I'm pretty sure they can't just move into here. Well, they'll counterattack anyway. So they're going to try and call for the satchel charge support. They don't get it, so rats. It's just a 2. Got a 2. Oof, that's bad. Well, gotta do it anyway. And, well, that could have been a lot worse. So they have a 2 attack strength. 2 on a 9's an 11, and the Americans had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we actually end up with a stalemate. 11, 12, 13. So no, the Japanese forces are wiped out, unfortunately. So that's not great. I'm just going to check the rules to see if I need to wipe out that pillbox. I'm not unsure about them in an assault. I feel like that would be not particularly thematic if a pillbox could be part of an assault. So let's just make a quick check. Yeah, so taking a look at the rules, the pillboxes don't attack. It's just defensive value. So as such, I feel like they aren't part of the attack, so I don't think that they would take any losses from an attritional standpoint. I mean, you would only take the defender removes those, retreats, because they're not part of the attacking force. So I think they're going to sit there and do nothing, which maybe that's a rule I've been doing wrong, but that's okay. That's what we'll kind of sit here with. That was a Japanese impulse again. Feel like I'm just wasting my forces doing that, and I've got to stop. I got to stop doing that. The Americans at this point feeling pretty good. They'll do an assault here again, and they're gonna call in tanks 5 or 6. Nope. And they'll call in regular artillery 4, 5 or 6. They do get an artillery support, and we'll save Ernie Pyle for the last final push to the mountain, I think. So we've got lead attack units of 4, 5, 6, 7 and a half, 8 for battalion, 8.5, 9.5 for air support. So we'll just call it a 9, and the Japanese are a 3, 4, 5. So 9 on a 5. Yeah, that's gonna be enough. So we're staring down a barrel of an 18, 18 to a 9. So the pillbox is eliminated, and as such, this becomes American controlled. The lead attack unit will always get flipped, nonetheless. So we've got 2 full strength and 2 reduced strength units in that hex, and we've got the artillery support's going to come back here. So that's an extra 2 VPs, so they're up to 9. And the die roll was a 9, so we'll proceed to the next impulse. At which point, frankly, the Japanese are just going to say, bring it on. So what they're going to do is this unit out here, which I should have taken care of, and I've been very, very lazy, is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just to ensure that the Americans will have a much harder time getting that automatic victory. Ugh. Maybe I should do that. Maybe we'll risk it. Maybe we'll risk it. So that we'll do the... Should have done this a long time ago, but I didn't for tactical reasons, I guess. I was trying to hang on to these. This was a predicament because I didn't want to have them move out of one and have them swept in, and leaving guys behind means they're more susceptible to the weaker Japanese attacks. I wanted to keep the larger stacks together. So what they'll do for their impulses, they're actually going to move in and try and attack these guys. And for overkill, we'll bring in tank support on a 4, 5, or 6. And it's a 4, 5, or 6 because this is not urban. It was a 5 or a 6 in urban areas. So 4, 5, or 6, nope. We'll bring in some artillery support, nope. So it's just a straight die roll. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for battalion, 9 for air support. And the Japanese have 2 plus 3. So 3 on a 9. Oh, wow. So the Japanese end up with 10, and the Americans end up with 11. So very, very close roll there. And this is actually going to kill the Japanese unit. So he's dead, and the lead attack unit's going to get flipped, and this is going to become an American again. Now, the snake eyes here means it's the end of the impulse. So now the pressure is on the Americans here to really make a move and end this, because this is the final turn. Which we'll move up everything here in just a second. So we'll do a night phase, and then we'll do the refit phase, and then we'll go into turn 4 here real quick. So as far as the night phase goes, was hoping to have a few more guys to really do something. I think the best option I've got, and none of them are particularly good. Yeah, they're actually all very bad. Because we've got this one guy here. Ugh. That's terrible. These are all very bad. We're just going to try and inflict some losses. So I'm going to bring in this unit, and we're going to bring along... we'll bring along this guy. He's going to come in, he's going to activate, and we're going to move into this area and try and attack them. So we're going to bring in a satchel charge. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a satchel charge. I think it's clear weather, unfortunately. So satchel charge it is. And let's roll the dice. Because it's nighttime, we need a 4, 5, or 6. Normally it's just a 5 or a 6. So 4, 5, or 6. And we roll a 4. Fantastic. So we do get the satchel charges. So we have an attack strength of 2, 3. So yeah, 2. He's going to be our lead unit because I'm 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 attack. And we're going against 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Because they still get their air support bonus even though it's nighttime. If it's daylight, because that's actually not true. Because it's nighttime, they don't get that bonus. So it's just a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's a 9 on. Is it 9 on a 9? No. 7 on a 9. That's not great, but we'll do it anyway. 7 on a 9. Hoping for the best. Yeah, disaster. Oh well. So we ended up with 10 for the Japanese. That's bad. So that he's gonna flip. He can't flip, so he's gonna die because he was the lead attack unit. He has to take a loss. I was hoping to take them out, and he's gonna retreat back to where he came from. Satchel charges did not help us in the end there. And the Americans, because they won, they don't take any losses. They just sit here. That was One day I'll learn my lesson and not counterattack. Alas, I was hoping to do so. So that's the night phase. Frankly, not going to do anything else. So during the end phase, all of the vacant enemy-controlled areas that cannot trace a supply line become friendly controlled. Now, luckily, this area here is friendly controlled. Even though it's contested, we can draw supply through it. So all of these areas can trace a supply through this, and the Americans all are in supply through to the beaches here. So that's good. If the Americans had been able to take this area, all of these would just flip to the American side, which would have made this a whole lot easier, frankly. But they did not. So that's something to kind of just bear in mind. If you can really cut everyone off, this little diversionary tactic would have, helped prevent that automatic victory, which it did. If you can cut them off, these would all just go back to being American-controlled anyway. Alas, not the case. So, refit phase. The Americans get their refit points first. Ironically, they don't control this, so they don't get a point from this. They do control this, and they get 2 from this. So they're going to get 3 refit points. So we're going to refit guys. We're going to trace some supply around this way. So we're going to flip these 2 blue guys. That's 1 refit point. We're going to flip the 2 tan ones. That's another refit point. And lastly, we'll flip this dark green one and this dark brown one. That's the last refit point. So we didn't have to spend our advantage because it looks like we're all full strength now. So that's great news for the Americans. If they can get 1 more victory point, they'll be able to win. And the Japanese get 1 refit point, which they are going to spend. And I realize I've been reckless. They're going to refit this MG nest and this MG nest here. That's all they can do. They've only got the 1 point. We'll go to the final turn. I'll get their leader back. And during the final turn 4, I'll go back to 1 here for the impulse track. Japanese are going to roll 2d6 and bring in some, hopefully get some reinforcements. So the reinforcements, it's half of 2d6 rounded down. So we've got 8, so we're going to have 4 of our special units. 4 special units. We have a lot of them out already, so we're just going to put them back here. Reinforcements, they come up into the special units box. And it is time for the Japanese to hang on as like a very, 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 very last defense. So for the first Japanese impulse, they're going to pull out basically all of their units and stack them. So it's kind of a hot mess over here. So we're going to stack some things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll bring out 2 MG nests and another pillbox. And that's what they're going to do, is their kind of assault move. So the Americans are going to have to do a lot of very hard, brutal fighting to take that spot. There's not a lot else they can do. For the Americans' impulse... Oh, before we do that, let's flip these over. The Japanese are going to do their Kamikaze as well. Last turn to do a Kamikaze. We'll try and take out that naval bombardment one more time. So we've got a 4 going against a 6. 6. Man, we rolled equal. So it's going to be a failure, unfortunately, for the Japanese. Unable to take out the Navy there. So the Americans have a couple of decisions to make here. They are going to use So we're going to try and take back all this land, which has been quite ridiculous. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And these guys are going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 over there. Take all that back. Just what was somewhat distracting and diversionary, so hopefully we'll be able to hopefully they can get that automatic victory a bit easier now. As soon as they control all of them, the game's over. But this looks like quite the battle that's going to have to go on here. So that was the end of that. 2d6 for the sunset roll. Can't roll a 1 on 2d6, so we go to impulse 2. The Japanese are going to bring out their last unit. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're at max capacity. So I think they're going to bring out this guy. What they're going to do? They're actually going to slide a unit down into this area. And they don't have to make an attack because this was already a contested area. So it just gives us a couple more attrition points to hopefully hang on to that area. That's kind of what we're going for. Maybe we'll slide one more guy down there. Just siphon off a couple forces. I think that helps us to hang on there a little bit. So that's kind of what we're going to do with those. The Americans in Impulse 2. Well, gotta do it. So we're going to do some bombardments first. So we'll do our Navy bombardment. And we are going to bombard Mr. Zero over here. So I'm hoping we can do more attrition points. It's really easy to hit this guy, but we have to do lots more, then we can flip some of the other ones. I think that's my tactic there. To get a lot of carryover is what I'm going for. So they're going to be defending with a 4. That's a straight 4, and we're an 8. So we're just going to roll the dice. That's not what you want to see for the Americans. So the Americans have a 15, and the Japanese have a 15 as well, which is crazy. So, used up, nothing happens as a result of the bombardment. The bombardment phase means, impulse means we don't advance the impulse counter. So it's back to being a Japanese impulse, and honestly, the Japanese are going to, they're going to bring out their special unit and pop him in here and supply. That's what they're going to do. He's going to sit on the mountaintop as well. And that's that. Very, very simple. The Japanese are pretty much not going to do anything else proactive. Oh, they've got one more bombardment phase in which they'll hopefully be able to do in the next turn. Back to the Americans. So we'll do a Navy bombard. We'll do the same thing. This is only a +5, and we'll go against that 0 again. So 5 on a 4. Looking for a good die roll. We did not get a good die roll. It's a tie again. Japanese rolled a 6. 6 plus 4 is 10. Americans rolled a 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. Used up. Absolutely worthless. Back to the Japanese. They're going to do a bombardment here. So their bombardment's a 4. And they are going to attack. Everything's kind of a hot mess. So they're going to attack this stack here. Just because they're in a weaker area. So they're a 4, 5, and we're a 4. We're just trying to inflict wounds. That's all we're trying to do. Japanese, no, they're unable to do so. So total waste. Great, nothing happens there. So now the Americans, are they going to expend their last bombardment here? We've got a 7. And we're going to go... Yeah, I feel like softening this up is still the best option. So we're going to go against this guy again. So it's just a +4 from the terrain effects modifier against a 7 from the artillery battery. And that's much more like it. Okay. So the Japanese have a total of 7. And the Americans have a total of 18. So the Japanese have to take 11 attrition points. So that's to start with. You've got to take 2 to kill this guy, because he was the lead defense unit. So that was 2, so there's 9 more to go. We will flip. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Flip everything, because defending, you still defend at full value when you defend away. And we'll just get rid of this one dude. 8, 9. Alright. So that was a very successful bombardment there. That's used up. Again, don't advance this because it's a bombardment impulse. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go for a Japanese impulse. Again, I think the Japanese are just going to pass. All they're doing is praying to hang on for dear life, which doesn't look particularly good at this point. So, where to start? We'll start with, let's see, 305th. 3rd Battalion's going to move up into this area. Again, not overstacking because each side can have 10 counters, so we've got 8 here and 3 for the Japanese. 8. Alright. And we don't combine the stacks. So we've got 4 plus 3. Oops. Making a big mess here. That was a reduced one. Fat fingers time. So we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for battalion cohesion, 9 for air support during the day, and we're going to save Ernie Pile. Let's call in tank support, 5 or 6. We do not get it. Let's call in artillery support, 4, 5 or 6. We do not get it. So it's just a straight attack in that sense. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we're going to 9 for the Americans, and the Japanese are 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 for the Japanese, 9 for the Americans. Oh! And the Japanese are able to defend it. So the Japanese have an 18, and the Americans have a 17, it looks like. So that's actually very bad for the Americans. They're entirely repulsed. All of their units get flipped and have to move back to where they came from. So that was excellent defense from the Japanese. Inflict a lot of wounds. They need to inflict a lot of wounds so the Americans take negative victory points if they can't take the automatic victory. The sunset roll for the Americans was then 8. So we move on to the next impulse. And for Japanese impulse number 3, they're going to pass. Like counterattacking, I have found is spectacularly dangerous. So I frankly am just not going to do it. It's not worth the risk, especially at this point of the game. So I think they're just going to pass. If they maybe get another lucky result and can reduce some more guys, they might attempt it. But not at the moment, no. So they're going to pass. And the Americans, the onus is on the Americans to take the land. They have to take something. I feel like this is still the easiest target. So they are going to move in. Boy, that's some very interesting stuff going on here. So we're going to move this group. We're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's their impulse. And they're going to make a die roll for the sunset. So turn continues. Did I move this up or not? I can't remember. I think I did. And then the Japanese are going to pass again. And the Americans are going to move in this guy up here. And they're going to do a die roll for the sunset. So this is going to move up to 5. So the Japanese are then going to pass again. And then these guys are going to move in. We're going to do a big assault with these 2 battalions. 2 full battalions. There's already battalion in there. They can't bring everyone. Wow, okay. So So they got to leave a couple guys behind, otherwise we'd be overstacked, and that's illegal. We'll lead with this dude. So we're leading with a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 for battalion cohesion, 11 for air support. We're going to try and call in the tanks, which we do. And we're going to call in artillery because we're overkilling this, which we also do. So we're sitting pretty as the Americans here. We're just going to get a die roll. And the Japanese have a 3 from the pillbox, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the Japanese are rolling an 8, and we're at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Wow. 15 for the Americans. Oh, wow. Not good. 15, 16, 17. That's very bad. Wow. Okay. That's actually a fascinating turn of events in the game. So, the Americans have a 4 on top of that. Sorry. And this is where the game is a little bit mathy. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the Americans have a 14, plus 4 is an 18. And the Japanese had 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. 18 to 16. So they have to take losses. So the lead attack unit always gets reduced. And these guys will move into this area. And they're going to take 2 losses. We're going to just eliminate this guy. That's 2 losses right there. And what's fascinating is this is still contested. They don't get anyone out. But if you look at the sunset roll, this is an American attack. They rolled a 4, which ends the turn and ends the game. There is an extended game where you can agree to play a couple more turns if you desperately needed to, and the Americans would do in this case. But we'll end the game here because this is where the normal game would end. And what an amazing turn of events. I was not expecting, and that's where the game is cool. It's really neat. This die roll means you have to put the pressure on and keep going. You roll poorly like that, game's over and you lose. And that's where it's at. So we'll just check victory points one more time. So the Americans have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They have 9 victory points. And they have negative victory points for every 5 reduced or eliminated units. So this really bad attack that reduced everyone, plus this guy from the lead attacking unit right there, that's 5 right there. So they actually only have 8 victory points. And this is an American failure. They need 10 to win the game. So amazingly, the Japanese win this game. And I imagine that is somewhat of a rare occurrence. I'm not sure. And maybe all the crazy tactics of swinging a guy around and doing some diversionary things worked. Very difficult to say. What a cool game, though. So I appreciate you sticking with me. I know there was some mess up in the rules. Probably didn't get everything perfect, but it's a solo game, so frankly I don't care. I had a blast playing this. This is a really neat game. What I'll do is we'll sit down and do like a full review of this, just to kind of pull everything together. So thank you very much for watching. This has been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.